YouTube superstar Grace Randolph from Beyond the Trailer says Marvel has messed up badly and has no female characters in Avengers Doomsday worth talking about, at least not even in the press. Today, we have to admit, we're starting to agree with Grace. Well, everybody but Lorne. Hello, folks. Welcome back. It is a glorious day. Happy day to everyone out there. And welcome back to the Pro Channel. We're so happy that you're here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Click the like button, drop a comment down below, and let's go, go, go. What did Grace say this time? Well, might surprise you. At least I kind of agree. Well, folks, it's time to talk about our good friend, Grace Randolph. She has weighed in on the Avengers Doomsday stuff, and she's had enough of RDJ and Chris Evans. But what if I told you that I think Grace is right? I'll explain on the other side. 20 seconds of Grace Randolph here on the Pro Channel as she makes a prognosis for the MCU that few are still doing.
They not only brought Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers back, but now they're bringing back Chris Evans. Which, because, you know, I care, because I'm a woman. I care about it.
I'm a woman.
Okay.
I don't understand why they don't get the importance of the female characters.
Now, Grace is getting ready to drop the profanities, and I love the South Park introduction there. Okay, it's very cute, very funny, well played, and here's the deal. It would be very easy for us to rip on Grace. Lorne is ready to go, I know, with his angry Christmas trees behind him. But listen, Grace is right. Grace is right. Everybody listen to me on this one, okay? I don't know if Grace knows she's right in the way that I know she's right, but she stumbled onto the truth here. They are going back to RDJ and Chris Evans because they work. That's all that works for Marvel right now, unless you want to bring in Chris Pratt with Star-Lord. And that I thought they were going to do, and maybe they still will do it. But right now, all they've got is RDJ and Chris Evans. They've got formerly known as Tony Stark and Iron Man, now playing Dr. Doom, and you know he'll go back the other way in just a few, and real Captain America. And Grace is angry because there's no major woman in this movie that's really driving it, right? That's supposed to be happening. It's the MCU. Gentlemen, what Grace has correctly identified is Marvel has not delved into their female roster of characters. They haven't taken the time to put in the work to make those characters shine. Lorne, where is Storm? Where is Rogue? Where is Jean Grey? Where is Psylocke? Where are all these phenomenal female? Where are they? Instead, they spent the last 5 years giving us definitely not male character, female Swaparooski. It's Girl Thor. They gave us She-Hulk, and she's completely going to be Miss Feminist, right? They gave us Miss Marvel. Like, they have done everything they can to just put Miss, woman, she, whatever in front of it. And you know, there was a time in the 60s and 70s, maybe that would cut it. But there are phenomenal female characters in the Marvel roster, and that was too hard to do. And now Grace is frustrated, and I kind of see her point on this one. Lorne, what say you?
So what were you asking me again?
Lorne, do you agree or disagree? Has Grace stumbled onto some truth here, or is she just off in the, you know, in left field somewhere? Maybe it should be RDJ versus Chris Evans again, and maybe that's just fine. Or do you think that there's actually a nugget of truth in this?
I don't think that there was. When you say, is there a nugget of truth in this? It's like she didn't really make a statement. She said, "I am woman, hear me roar." Why are you not making the movies? You're asking me where are the Marvel women in this movie? They're in the kitchen making a sandwich is where they're at. They tried to make these movies and it didn't work.
No, hold on. No, you're wrong, Lorne. You're wrong. Lorne, if they had made a Storm movie instead of Wakanda Forever, they could have been making oodles of money, and they would not have this problem where they don't have female characters that people care about. What I'm trying to say is, this is a Kevin Feige crash. He's the one who did this.
No, I disagree. You can't just slap Storm onto a movie and say it's going to make money. You have to have it cast correctly.
Yes.
It has to be written correctly.
Yes.
They don't have the people that are capable of doing that.
Correct, but they could hire them.
Is it ideologically, are they in a position to do that?
Oh, that's a harder question. No.
Then no. I'm sorry. Until you get people that actually read about, care about, like the comic books, writing these characters, it's not going to work. They don't like the comics as they were. They don't like them when they were successful. What they like is all new, all different Marvel that they did back in the 80s that crashed and burned horribly. What they like is what they tried to do with the Ultimate line, which also crashed and failed horribly, and they eventually had to merge it back into the main Marvel universe because they couldn't keep up the sales. This is why they keep having to reboot the titles, start from #1 issues all the time, because they desperately hope each time this will be the one that's going to hit. We're going to get everybody to buy these comics because it's a #1 and the collectors are going to want it. There are no collectors anymore. You chased them all off. The people that cared about the characters and the stories, they're gone.
They all made YouTube channels.
You want to get them back. Get the people who respect your legacy and liked these characters. Until you get those people on board to say, we're sorry and we know this is what you like and we're going to give it to you, I don't care if you put Storm in a movie. I don't care.
Okay. But just look at the list, okay? Look at the list for a minute. And look what's not there, okay? Where is Halle Berry playing Storm, right? Well, why aren't you paying her enough to bring her in this cast? Where is Mantis? Where is Nebula? These were female characters that people liked in the Guardians. You don't have to have Zoe come back and play Gamora. You can have these other cool female characters. Instead, you're getting Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm that nobody cares about. You're getting Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, that nobody cares about, right? It's Timu Black Widow. Rebecca Romaine?
You know what's interesting is a lot of these characters are in kind of the starting phases. Like, the X-Men series did a horrible job with their female characters, just kind of across the board. I rewatched all of the Bryan Singer ones, and by the time they wanted to make Mystique a character, it was Jennifer Lawrence coming in and saying, I don't want to be in these movies, so can we minimize her presence on screen? Storm is about as flat of a character as you can get in those X-Men movies, and that's the version of Storm they're putting into this. Vanessa Kirby,
they're not even put that Storm in as far as we know.
Right, and Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm. I've enjoyed Vanessa Kirby in many films, but not Fantastic Four, because she's a boring character that is a god of boring cardboard people in that movie, who is married to a null man. The best
null man, you say?
He has no masculinity. He has no romance to him. He's just there. In what, she's supposed to flirt with Tenoch Huerta from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This is whatever chemistry existed in the first part of the MCU is gone. So even if you have a quote unquote female presence, I don't know that it matters, because it doesn't matter who any of these people are, because all of them are boring at this point.
I'm going to make a borderline misogynistic statement here. So forgive me.
Cross the border, just like Namor in Wakanda Forever, but they had to keep him out because apparently they're telling a different kind of story than they wanted to tell.
There's only one female character from the MCU that you could have hung a story on, having her be the main protagonist, and that was Black Widow.
Yes.
And they tried that. They failed at it because, again, they didn't want to do a faithful representation of the character. All of the other female characters, not to say that they aren't interesting characters and didn't support the movies that they were in, were supporting cast. And that's part of the problem, is that you're trying to bring supporting cast up to lead status, and that's where what you're saying, that they haven't done the work, comes in. If you're not going to introduce them properly, if you're not going to give them an origin movie, a backstory, some kind of an interesting arc, then they're there to be supporting cast. And that's what you have. You're trying to make this big blockbuster movie almost entirely with supporting cast. That's why you had to get RDJ and Chris Evans back.
Well, we could have had the introduction and the buildup of Emma Frost. We could have had the introduction and buildup of Jean Grey. We could have had, Gwen Stacy, really and truly, like, here we go. And instead we got Agatha Harkness. Instead we got She-Hulk. Instead we got Girl Thor. And I'm telling you, like,
they had Agent Carter and they put her on steroids.
Yes. And so they have destroyed. They didn't. What they did is they turned their female characters into beta males, and now they've been rejected. And now Grace is saying, I think Grace is right. I think she's right to be angry and say, where are the female superheroes? They destroyed them. They gave us woke beta male female characters. That's what they did.
You know, I need to amend one thing I said. I said none of the X-Men, the female X-Men characters from those movies was given anything to work with. That's wrong. Famke Janssen actually had an interesting arc as Jean Grey up until Last Stand, but they're not bringing her back.
Right. Right.
She was great, though. You know, the funny thing that Grace talks about is the female representation, but like what you were saying, Pro, when you try to make females masculine, you don't really truly have female representation. And that was like the worst part of She-Hulk. She-Hulk, I was so excited prior to She-Hulk coming out that they were actually bringing She-Hulk into the MCU, because I really liked the character from the comic books. And the actress that played her, the way she was played, the way it was written, honestly, I couldn't stand her. Couldn't watch it. It was horrible. It was done as a joke, and it was very strange, because even the CGI on
you didn't like this, Ron?
I hated it.
This didn't make you say, "Boy, I need that in an Avengers movie."
But my question is, why, when She-Hulk was next to Mark Ruffalo's Hulk on the screen, why was his CGI presented correctly and hers, like, it looked like a toy? It was so weird. It was visually hard to watch. And I actually think they have a really good female character in Ms. Marvel that they brought along, but even then they haven't played up the fact that she was a mutant.
You didn't like Natalie Portman with plastic bicep prosthetics to make it look like she...
I didn't like the way it was written. I think that they could have done a better job with that movie. I was actually looking.
She's not a
that
mutant, by
too.
the way. I just have to point out that
No,
Ms. Marvel is not a mutant. She's an Inhuman.
Right.
She's been rewritten to be the most important X-Men character.
Yeah.
I recently watched Ms. Marvel. They do throw that in there at the end that she's a mutant, but man, that series was awful.
But guys,
awful.
The quota system is what destroyed the Marvel female characters. I don't know if Grace realizes that, but it's the quota system. It was the quota system of saying we don't have to spend time actually building these characters up. We just have to race and gender swap them.
They did it for the wrong reasons. They didn't build any character. Like, who cares whether the character's male or female? If you build the character, if you give them an arc, if you make them interesting, people will watch. But I didn't find hardly any of them interesting, with the strange exception of, and I was really surprised by this, as the female version of Hawkeye, Kate Bishop.
Haley Steinfeld is actually charming. She's cute, and she's not trying. And they don't girl boss. Well, they do have her take out the Kingpin.
She was supposed to be, Jonas. She's supposed to be the leader of the Young Avengers. It's too bad she's aged up to the point now she's a mother in real life. So, we spent all this time and no Young Avengers because they screwed that up too.
Avengers. Yay!
They did something where they team up Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh, which, Florence Pugh is a Black Widow minus the interesting aspects of that character.
Why do I want Florence Pugh? What is it? Who cares about Florence Pugh?
She was good in Thunderbolts. Actually, I liked Thunderbolts, but
she's okay.
I mean, she at least has the potential to be an interesting character.
She is a good actress, but she won't stop talking on the red carpet.
I'm not touching that, man. I'm not.
What she is an activist in a big way.
There you go. Okay, we can ride with that one. telling the female actress that she's talking too much on the red carpet. Every guy on the panel with you, Jonas, went, gonna step back a little bit. No. See, here's the issue with Florence Pugh. She is hardcore left. Yes,
because she speaks in the same problem with Tatiana Maslany. A lot of the MCU right now is they were rooting for Robert Downey Jr. because he was a redemption arc. So You contrast Robert Downey Jr. coming in and redeeming his own career as a great performer who has made some significant errors. They see Robert Downey Jr. in the role in so many ways. With Florence Pugh, you see the lady who's in these arty productions who can't seem to keep her top on the red carpet, and also thinks that Republican people are disgusting, and also has some really bad views on the sanctity of life.
Are you describing Mark Ruffalo right now? I can't tell.
Well, Mark Ruffalo at least has some romantic comedies under his belt where he's believable in the role. He's a good actor, and he's in that silly side of leftism where it's like, oh, you're adorable that you actually believe this, not the let's endorse Planned Parenthood side of leftism.
Let's see here.
What else does Grace say? Does she go on to present other points that have any validity?
She got a little sidetracked on this. I think this is a sore point for her. She's a big fan of representation in lots of different ways, and women, of course, is one of those groups that she would like to see more represented. And so I understand why she's frustrated. I also don't think that the Hollyweirds understand why their plan didn't work. And it turns out that representation, just for the sake of representation, isn't sufficient. This is the Ghostbusters problem. You could put one or two female Ghostbusters with the other Ghostbusters, and if they're hilarious, people will love them. If you replace the Ghostbusters with an all-female cast of Ghostbusters, and the selling point is they're women, and you all say that they're not funny, but women can be funny, that isn't going to land, right? And so if recasting or swapping your character in any way is done so that you can prove that this other underrepresented, so-called underrepresented group, it would be better, then that's gonna fall so flat because you've taken something that people love and said, well, what if this is better because I say it's better?
Ironheart's, I think, the perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's just, and I'll use this word the right way. She is the antithesis.
Oh, my. The antithesis.
And really, when it comes down to it, nobody likes being told they have to like something or else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's maybe an in that you could do if you wanted to introduce like Storm, like you're saying. And we've talked about this before, but I think it may be a way to lead in with characters that are already there that might make sense. I think one of the biggest mistakes that they made with Black Panther was after Chadwick Boseman died, they didn't know what to do with Black Panther. And I think the way into that would have been through Okoye. You could have dealt with her dealing with the fact that her king is gone and going through a character arc herself. What is your purpose now as essentially the leader of the Royal Guard? What do you look for in a new leader? And through that, you can eventually lead to Storm.
Yep.
And that lets you bring somebody in. But it's not just plopping somebody into a role, that stupid mantle strategy where you say, hey, we're just gonna give you the title and people are gonna accept it because, hey, here's a character you recognize. There has to be an arc, and you have to show these are why these characters earn these titles. Okoye is a loyal guard and somebody who cares about Wakanda and has not been dealt with terribly deeply. You've seen her there. There is something interesting you can do with that character.
Yeah, but I'm just going to point out the last time we saw Okoye, she was in a ridiculous gold and blue squid costume that they gave to all of the Dora Milaje, and those movies were horrible. I mean, really horrible because they decided not to recast T'Challa, and the first Black Panther focused way too much on Wakanda and not enough on Black Panther. Anyways. So it became a Wakanda movie instead of a Black Panther movie. So they just removed Black Panther and they keep on with this Women of Wakanda. There are no males to speak of in Wakanda other than M'Baku.
Let's remember, too, what made Black Panther successful? Black Panther was so successful because the flywheel that was generated, the uncles, the dads, the big brothers took the kids to go see the first Black Panther. It was a cultural moment, a movement. And then they took them from the movie. They went to McDonald's and got the Black Panther Happy Meal. And then they went to the retail shop, got them a Black Panther action figure. And what did Disney do with that? They turned Wakanda into an all-female thing. Now, at the box office, it did okay because it was basically a movie in memorial, which is very odd, but that's what it was. But in terms of like, did merchandise move? Oh no.
It's a horrible
wiped
movie.
the franchise out.
It was a horrible movie. The first hour was a slog, and once it gets going, they still stop to be a slog. If you're going to memorialize a person. Don't make a bad movie because you want to memorialize them with something that is worth it. I thought that Chadwick Boseman had a lot of potential as Black Panther. Usually the first movie that they put somebody in, you kind of go, I remember back in the day when Steve Rogers, when Chris Evans was cast as Captain America. That first movie, a lot of people had a little trouble with that, and then Winter Soldier came along and improved it. The problem with Black Panther is it was improved by contrast to Wakanda Forever.
Jonas, you said if you want to memorialize a person, do it. Don't make a movie.
Yeah.
As you said that, it popped in my mind. That's also what they did with the movement. If you want to memorialize a movement, do it. Don't make it into a movie. That's why there aren't female characters in Marvel right now that are astounding and excellent and on par with the men and loved and celebrated by the fans. They would, just the same way that Wonder Woman was a fantastic film that fans loved. Marvel decided to memorialize political movements, and the avatars of those political movements were their female beta male substitute heroes. Helping Hollywood produce a product that you want to consume, that's what we do each and every day, folks. And this time, it's time to, well, say goodbye. We know, but don't cry. No, for we will have more videos on the way. We love to bring those videos and that information. And by the way, if you'd like even more, consider going to the Patreon page. It's www.patreon.com/WDW Pro. It's where we put out stuff exclusively there that we simply can't put out in other places for whatever reason, be it because it's too spicy or because, well, perhaps we're working to corroborate it. But you can find out things early and first over there. Folks, we surely have had a great time spending time with you. Consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.